President John F. Kennedy took a great personal interest in this library. He hoped after 4 more years in the White House to have his office there and to write the story of the Kennedy years and to work himself with the youth of America and abroad, conducting seminars with the professors in that area. And now that he is gone, his widow, Jacqueline Kennedy, and his brothers and sisters and father and mother are doing everything in their power to make his wish a reality. And it reminds me almost of the primary contest for president all over again, where the family and friends went into Wisconsin and West Virginia, and now they're going into cities all over America and Europe.
Well, in this campaign for the library and education, you've taken the exhibit to how many cities in Europe?
We went to 15 cities in Europe. We opened up in Dublin and closed in London. We even went a bit behind the Iron Curtain. We were a week in Warsaw and 5 days in Belgrade. And the people had nothing but admiration for this entire exhibit. In fact, one day in the Sunday that we were in Warsaw, 25,000 people lined up. It was held at the Joseph Stalin of Arts, People's Arts and Labor. It's sort of set like a wedding cake. And it was wonderful to see the people file through there. And then in Belgrade, the Ambassador Elbrick told me that 137,000 people from Yugoslavia signed the Book of Condolence in a 3-day period. And that is why Mrs. Kennedy wanted the exhibit to go there.
Dave, what seems to have the greatest impact on people who see this exhibit?
Well, in America, it was the desk. They're all familiar with the story how John used to walk to work with his father in the morning. Earlier, it was Caroline, and then her school started at 9. The president liked to be in the office by 9, and we used to have his first appointment by 9:30. And John would hide behind the desk. He'd come in under the desk, and you know the part that opens up? Although it happened every morning, he'd make a scratching, knocking noise, and the president would bend over and say, "Is there a rabbit in there?" And John would come busting out, and the president, no matter how many times it happened, would act surprised, and John would go into hysterics. And some mornings when the president's back was bothering him, I'd have to be the fellow that would act surprised and fall back over a divan.
You say that this was the most emotional of the exhibits here in the United States. Was it different overseas?
Overseas, it was an amazing thing. People in Ireland, we had a police officer standing there taking the pillow away from the people that would pick it up off the rocker and hold it. And thousands of people would go by the rocking chair and genuflect. And if you notice the president's bust, the nose is very shiny, where we had it on the ground floor where they could go by, and almost everyone in Dublin rubbed it for good luck or in appreciation.
What are your plans for the exhibit once you leave the National Archives?
Well, there are 29 American cities now that are begging for it. As you know, the cities we hit were all our major league cities, like Boston and New York and Philadelphia, and in the coast was Los Angeles, San Francisco, San Diego, and now we have all these secondary cities that are begging for it. And then Angie Biddle-Duke would love to have it in Spain. The Latin American countries are begging for it. We had requests from Mexico, where the President Kennedy was a great favorite. So now the library committee are having a meeting, I believe, in about 3 weeks, so that it will be here definitely the entire month of April, open every morning from 9 in the morning until 10 at night, except on Sundays, where it's open from 1 p.m. until 10. And there is a possibility that it'll be here beyond April, because this is the home base until the library is built.
How about a permanent home for the desk and the rocking chair?
The permanent home will be up in Boston or Cambridge when the library's finally built.
Dave, the thing that struck me about this exhibit is it's not a sad exhibit, it's not a maudlin thing, it's an alive exhibit.
It is. It really is. That you look at it and you expect that he's going to walk around the corner. And I get that feeling at home. Some mornings I'm shaving in a hurry and I'm thinking of a story I will tell the president when I get in the office.
What do you remember most now about the Kennedy years?
Well, actually, what I remember most, I was in the president's office the very first day, and I was in the very last day. As you recall, the day that we went to Texas, he had 2 appointments in the office that morning, and every day he looked more like Mr. President than the day before. That he just sort of looked taller from that very first day, which was Saturday, January 21st, and the last day, which was November 21st. And he always, one time a friend of mine, Bob Healy of the Boston Globe, you all know, said, Dave, you've known him since 1946 and have been climbing 3 decades and in all these campaigns. What do you call him? And I said, you know, when you walk in and see him in his office, you could call him nothing else but Mr. President. That in the history of American politics, I can think of no man that worked as hard, that made as many sacrifices to win, and deserved being called Mr. President more than he.
Do you think that's all lost now?
No, I watched the people going through the exhibit. We arrived the day before and have the press conference, and in Kansas City and in St. Louis and in Buffalo, thousands of people getting in line. We had 35,000 one day in Buffalo, which was the high figure until we went up to Cleveland and had that 43,178, and then the record was busted in Boston when we had 45,657. And they all, suddenly they lost this great man whom they had learned to love. And by filing through the exhibit, they were trying to recapture part of them. And looking at the people, you knew that most of them could never afford to visit his grave at Arlington and might never afford to visit the library in Boston. And by going through the exhibit, they were recapturing part of him.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Dave.